Welcome to another episode of Software Explorations Concept and Overviews, hosted by yours truly, Tech Coach Ralph, where we're engineering to win. In this episode of Software Explorations, we are going to be covering the sprint ceremony called the daily Scrum or the stand-up meeting, depending on which terminology you use. But we've done the sprint retrospective, we've done the sprint reviews. We're going to be talking about the daily Scrum and why that is helpful and important. Well, to me, it's like one of the most important meetings in the whole Agile process. And I will tell you why as we get into it. But do me a big favor before we go any further. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know every time that we go live and drop new content, as well as go to techcoachralph.dev where you can get access to exclusive content. You can sign up for free, get access to exclusive content about leveling up in your tech skills, in your tech career, all of that good stuff. So that and you can work with me one-on-one coaching so that we can run it up together. That's techcoachralph.dev, right? But with that being said, let's jump into this present. So the topic for today is daily Scrum meetings. And for me, it's the key to Scrum teams staying in sync, right? And not in sync the same group, but staying in sync so that they can be on the same page. So let's get started. Our agenda for today, we're going to be talking about what is a daily Scrum or a daily stand-up, why it's important, how the daily Scrum works, who attends the daily Scrum meeting, the best practices, some common challenges, and then we're going to talk about some case studies and examples. And then I'm going to throw in a bonus. I'm going to talk about some tools that can be used to facilitate your stand-ups, especially if you are working in a remote team or you're working together with a group of people. You're not necessarily working for a company, but you want to facilitate the practices of Scrum. I'll share some tools, some bots that can help you with that. So what is a daily Scrum? It's a short time-box meeting. Shouldn't be no more than 15 minutes. That's held daily, right? So it's for your Scrum team, and you limit it to 15 minutes. It's part of the Scrum framework, and it focuses on the team alignment to make sure that everybody's on the same page, that we're working towards our sprint goal that we set at during our sprint planning. We set our sprint goal. We haven't touched on sprint planning yet. That'll probably be our next week episode, talking about the sprint planning ceremony. But in the sprint planning, you set a sprint goal, and every day you check the whole entire team checks in to make sure that we're all working towards the same goal. We don't have any blockers, but we'll get into that a little bit more. So, what is the purpose of the sprint goal? So, why it's important? It enables transparency and communication within the team. It identifies whatever blockers or impediments that we have, like what's preventing you from being able to do your work, so that the Scrum Master, the product owner, other developers, other QA people can help alleviate those blockers. It keeps everyone aligned with the sprint goal. So every day we remind ourselves, okay, what is the sprint goal? What are we working towards? And it fosters accountability and self-organization. So you can say, this is what I'm doing, and everybody can be on the same page with that. So how is the daily Scrum ran? So like I said earlier, it's time box. It should not be any more than 15 minutes. At a stretch, 20, but honestly, if you can get it down to like 10 minutes or less, the best. And the reason that another word for it is stand up, because the intention of this meeting is so everybody could be everybody is standing up during this meeting, so that we don't want to have a whole hour-long meeting standing up. It's like you should be able to stand up around the water cooler and says, I'm working on this, I'm working on that. These are my blockers. This is what I did yesterday. Things of that nature, right? The team members answered 3 key questions. What did I accomplish yesterday? What will I work on today? And if there's any blockers in my way. And it's typically held at the same time every day, usually in the morning. I've tried some Scrum, some stand-ups or some daily Scrums in the afternoons. I am not the biggest fan of the daily stand-ups in the afternoon, because I kind of miss the context of what everybody is working on, and I'd rather have updates in the morning instead of in the afternoon, just for my own sanity. And there's different ways that they can be run as well. So as this one, the traditional way is having the team members answer those 3 questions, right? The way that I've been working recently is, instead of each person going about what they're working on, we go through what stories are in the sprint, and we go through there saying, okay, what is the status of this story? What do we plan on accomplishing today for this particular story? What's our goal for this story for today? And every day we set a goal, and then we try to see if we're going to accomplish that goal. And people who has contributions to that, they're able to make it. Another thing that we also do is we give an end of day update for the stories that we're working on, so that everybody can know we're on the same page. So we don't always have to go back and say, what did we accomplish yesterday? Because in the end of day update for that story, we have it there, and then we can focus on what's coming up for the current day, what's our goals for the current day. But there's so many different ways that you can run a daily Scrum. That's just a way that my team works on it. But whatever, at the end of the day, within the Agile methodology, it's whatever works for you, whatever helps your team to be more productive and win. So who's invited to the Scrum meeting, right? So the development team, the Scrum team members, the development team definitely invited, including the development team is the QA engineers, and any other engineer that might be on the team. The Scrum Master, it says optional but can help facilitate. While the Scrum Master is optional, I think it's very, very important for the Scrum Master to be there, because one of the roles of the Scrum Master is to alleviate impediments for the team. So I think it's very, very helpful and informative for the Scrum Master to be there in order to be able to see what's going on, to see if there's anything they need to kick in, right? The product owner, it says it's optional, but they can attend to listen. I think it's very, very helpful for the product owner to be there to see where things are at, how things are going, so that they're not left out of the loop, right? Stakeholders and external team members do not participate unless they're invited. It's very, very rarely that you're going to see a stakeholder or an external team member at a daily Scrum or at a stand-up, because they're going to be more in the sprint reviews to find out at the end. Honestly, the stakeholders, they don't care, or they're not technical enough to know how the sausage is being made, right? The purpose of the development team is to produce the results and then present the results to the stakeholders so that they can run with it, right? We build working software, and then the stakeholders do what they got to do with it. But honestly, they don't really care all the ins and outs, all the bells and whistles, like all the intricacies that go into actually building the software. So what are some best practices for the daily Scrum? So number one, keep it brief and focused, just like any other meeting, right? I remember back in the days, I'd be in some meetings that went all over the place. People could not stay focused. They'd just go rambling on everything. And a 30-minute meeting ends up into almost a 2-hour meeting. Not good at all. So keep it brief, keep it focused, and focus. At the end of the day, focus, right? Avoid problem solving during the stand-up. So what does that mean? Someone can introduce a problem, and then now people are trying to figure out, okay, how to solve that problem, instead of, okay, now that we know there's an impediment, let's get together afterwards, one-on-one, or a group of us, so that we can see, okay, how can we resolve this? What's the challenge? Who do I need to go talk to get this resolved? So we don't want to turn this into a problem-solving session. Encourage team members to speak directly to each other, not to the Scrum Master. So the team is who's working together to try to alleviate problems. The Scrum Master, if the Scrum Master comes involved if there are external factors that are, let's say, trying to take resources away from the development team, but the Scrum Master doesn't resolve technical impediments or things like that. It's the Scrum Master is protecting the team from outside forces so they can stay focused on accomplishing the sprint goal. So we need to have conversations with each other on how to fix these blockers. On if QA is waiting for something that QA feels something is running late, and we might not meet the sprint goal. Okay, what can we do to get this resolved? And then use visual aids like the task board or sprint board. Is one of the most common tools used in the daily Scrum is the Jira board, so that you can go through to see, okay, what's the status of these tickets. And people can, they can, sometimes it's assigned to a person, sometimes it's organized by story, and they have that discussion. But something that we can see, so that we can actually move stories around, make sure things are done, make sure things are in progress, see what's in to do. What are some common challenges, right? One of the biggest challenges, just like with any other meeting, is going over the time limit. It is imperative that you keep a strict time limit, 15 minutes at the 20 minutes at the most, right? But it shouldn't go more than, I would prefer not to go more than 10 minutes. Because once you start going over the time limits, people don't want to come to these meetings. It becomes very, very frustrating, very, very difficult to manage. So I would say, do your best to set strict standards of what's the time, right? Turn it into a status meeting. No one wants to just show up to, because you can just look at the Jira board and see what's the status of this story, that story, that story. We want to talk about either what are we planning to accomplish for today, if you're going if you're going based on the stories that are there, or finding out what people worked on yesterday, what they accomplished yesterday, what they're going to be doing today, and if they have any blockers. The blockers part is the most important, followed by what people are planning on working on today. And then people losing focus and not attending regularly. This is a problem, because which can be attributed to, if it turns into a status meeting or going over time limit, people can start losing focus. They can start saying, I don't need to go to this meeting. But it is important that people attend regularly, because for me it is the most important meeting to know what everybody's working on, where they're at, and then the last one, not addressing blockers. If we're gonna come to this to stand up to talk about what our impediments are, but we're not doing anything about it, then it's a waste of a meeting, right? Then everybody's fending for themselves. So it's very, very important, imperative that once we address what our impediments are, what the blockers are, that we have a game plan to go have them not be blockers anymore, because we have work to do. There's things that we're trying to accomplish. So very important. So these are the common challenges that people face, and I think the best practices that we went over before helps alleviate some of those challenges. So we're gonna jump into some examples. Before we jump into the examples, I'm just gonna touch on this, right? And one more thing that we do is that someone takes notes during our daily scrum, and then so it rotates every day. Somebody take notes, and then they send the meeting to the channel, to the team, so that we can all have the notes of what we plan on accomplishing, like anything that stood out from our daily scrum. So that's very, very important as well. Try to take notes and try to have someone take notes and send it to the team. Right now, what are some examples of how some teams implemented the daily scrum, some challenges they had? So we have an example for a tech startup development team, a cross-functional enterprise team, a healthcare company, and a remote development team, a remote development team, and a software as a service company. Right. So we're going to jump into each of these. So let's talk about the example for the tech startup dev team. So the background is the team consisted of 7 developers working on a mobile application with a product owner and a scrum master. They had 2 week sprints with the daily scrum meetings. All right, so very typical. So what challenges they face? So initially the team was using the daily scrum meetings as a status update, which we talk about that as a common challenge, which caused the meetings to run longer than 30 minutes. Oh my God, 30 minutes that a daily scrum is running. Not good at all, right? So this reduced the productivity and made some team members feel disengaged. They didn't want to be there anymore. Like, why the hell am I coming to this meeting? So what was the approach? The Scrum Master refocused the stand-ups around 3 key Scrum questions. What did you do yesterday? What will you do today? And are there any blockers? So answering those 3 questions, you don't go off track. A physical task board was introduced, and each member updated the board during the meeting. So the physical task board is when they're using like a whiteboard and they have like stickies and they're moving stuff on the board. It's pretty much what Jira replaced it with, but some people still use those physical task board because it forces people to be engaged. So what were the results of this, right? The stand-up was reduced to 15 minutes, so that's awesome, and the team members became more aligned on priorities. By focusing on blockers, the team was able to address issues faster. Totally, right? And team members reported feeling more engaged and accountable after this change. So, and that's the goal. That's the goal. So salute to that Scrum Master who saw the problem that was happening and found a way to fix it. So let's talk about the cross-functional enterprise team. So a large enterprise team working on a digital transformation project included developers, QA engineers, and operations staff. Due to different time zones, scheduling daily stand-ups was difficult and meetings lacked consistency and focus. So pretty much it wasn't focused, and if they even happened at all. So the challenge was team members in different time zones would often miss daily stand-up and meetings would go overtime, causing frustration. I'd be frustrated as well. So what was the approach? The team decided to implement asynchronous daily stand-ups using collaboration tools like Slack. Each team member would post their 3 key updates by a certain time. Once a week, the team had a full live stand-up addressing the key blockers and planning for the week ahead. So this is a good strategy. Not the most traditional, but in Agile, you got to do whatever works for your team. And talking about the Slack collaboration tool, at the end, I will highlight a bonus, some bonus tools, some bonus bots that can be used. But like for the Tech Barbarians, I use a Slack bot that sends every day the meeting, like what. Like it's a daily stand-up Slack bot. So what were the results of this cross-functional team? Asynchronous stand-ups allowed every team. Asynchronous stand-ups allowed every team member to participate regardless of location or time zone. The weekly live stand-up helped to bring the team together, and blockers were addressed more systematically. So perfect. Now let's talk about the healthcare company. A healthcare software development team was transitioning from a waterfall methodology to Agile. Well, thank God for that. The daily Scrum meeting was a new practice, and some team members were resistant to change. Well, there's going to be that too, because I remember when Agile was getting introduced, people were in love with waterfall. Now people do not want to go chasing waterfalls whatsoever. So the challenge was the team struggled with overcomplicating the daily stand up, with discussions turning into lengthy problem solving sessions. It just becomes another meeting at that point. So what did the Scrum Master do? The Scrum Master emphasized that the stand-ups was for quick updates, not in-depth discussions. If you want to have an in-depth discussion, schedule another meeting. Problem solving was redirected to separate breakout sessions after the daily Scrum. A digital Kanban board was introduced to visualize the team's progress. Perfect. The results, the team adopted the Scrum framework with meetings staying within the 15-minute time box. Over time, the team members became more comfortable with the Agile process, and overall sprint productivity increased, the solution we're looking for. And lastly, the remote dev team. A fully remote dev team of developers working in a software as a software product struggled with the daily stand-ups due to time zone differences and inconsistent attendance. Right? And this is like the same as every other team, right? So the challenge that the remote dev team faced. Some team members found daily stand-ups redundant since they were communicating frequently through chat and email. That makes sense because if you're saying the same things over, then why do I have to go to a meeting to say the same thing over and over and over again, right? So what was the approach that the team took? The team experimented with moving daily stand-ups to video calls twice a week and written stand-ups the other days. They used a shared document where each team member updated their status, blockers, and priorities for the day. The Scrum Master would focus on the key issues. What were the results? This hybrid model improved the team's engagement in stand-ups. Video calls twice a week gave the team more in-depth discussion, while the written stand-ups kept the team on track daily. So that's it. So before I go to the conclusion, like I said, I wanted to give you some bonus tools. One of the softwares that I use for the Tech Barbarians, it's a Slack bot called Geekbot, and there's another one called Stand-Uply, where that allows you to facilitate a daily stand-up, a daily Scrum meeting, where at a certain time, it can be based on the user's time zone, or it could be at a particular time for everyone, regardless of the time zone, where it's going to stand up, it's going to send a message, it's going to ask for the Geekbot, it's going to ask the participant, how are you doing, how are you feeling, what did you do yesterday, what are you planning on doing today, do you have any blockers, and then it sends it to, you can send it to your own Slack, or you can send it to a channel where all the members in the channel can see what everybody's working on, what the blockers are. So if someone needs help, they can reach out to each other. But it's very, very important. I ever since I started the coaching group and working with the Tech Barbarians, I had a Slack bot so that people can get into the habit of joining in the daily scrums, because it is very, very important. I'll tell you this. Getting people to participate in the daily scrum is like pulling teeth. It's like herding cats and pulling teeth at the same time. Because for me, that is the most important meeting that you're going to have, because you have it every single day. And if you cannot consistently participate in the daily Scrum meeting, then you're not going to be successful in tech, right? So that is why ever since day one, I have instituted that, and I always encourage the people that I'm coaching to use it, because if you don't, it is to your own detriment. It is definitely to your own detriment, all right? But yeah, the same thing, Stand-Uply, and there's plenty of different bots, but the two that I've become very familiar with, that I've used is Geekbot and Stand-Uply, all right? Anyways, with that being said, let's wrap it up. So today we covered what a daily Scrum is, why it's important, how daily Scrum works, who attends the daily Scrum, the best practices. We had some great best practices, the challenges that teams face, and then we reviewed some case studies and some examples, and then we're wrapping it up. If you want me to go any deeper into this, then definitely leave me a comment, and I will. Let me know what you want me to cover, what you want me to touch on. Next, we're probably going to be getting into the sprint planning, like I mentioned earlier. But that's it. So let's go back to full screen. All right, cool. Hopefully that you found this very, very informative and helpful. Hopefully that helps you prepare for when you are doing daily scrums. And I would encourage you this, right? Even if you're doing this only by yourself, download Slack, because either Slack or Microsoft Teams is going to be the most commonly used communication software in a company, and install either Stand-Uply or Geekbot, so you can start having your own daily stand-ups where you can get into the habit. 90% of the times you're going to be going in person to in person, meaning by video call or in the office where you're joining, but at least having a bot so that you can start getting into the process of having to answer those questions on a daily basis. So when you do get that position, it just becomes natural, right? Do not wait. Do not wait until you get there and you don't know what to do, right? So that would be my bit of advice to you. Install Slack. Get one of those bots so that you can facilitate your own daily stand. Implement with your own family, right? So, anyways, we're going to get out of here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Do me a big favor on your way out. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you know every time that we go live and drop new content. As well as if you're looking to level up, if you're looking to become a tech barbarian, to work with me one-on-one, go over to techcoachdrop.dev, sign up for free, and we can work together. And there's so much exclusive content on there that is you're not gonna find on YouTube. Help you do better in your job searching skills, in your career, in your technical skills, all of that good stuff. So check it out, techcoachdrop.dev. With that being said, this has been another episode of Software Explorations, Concept Overviews. We spoke about the daily Scrum meeting. This is Tech Coach Ralph. We are out.